My pleasure to welcome back to the program Brendan Malone from lifenet.org.nz. Brendan, kia ora, nice to see you again.
Andrew, great to be back with you as always.
Now, a fun topic for today, this based on a movie that you saw recently with your daughter, I understand, based on a classic work of literature. Some people may think this sounds more Halloween vibes than theological vibes, but there's a deep message inside. I'm talking about the recent version of Frankenstein. What did you make of it?
I really enjoyed it, actually. I should say, too, just a caveat, just in case anybody's wondering out there, it's not family movie night stuff if you've got young kids.
Yep.
It's Frankenstein, after all, and Guillermo del Toro, who is the director of the film. He did Pan's Labyrinth, a little bit scary in places, so just be aware of that.
Yeah.
But a phenomenal piece of filmmaking, and my daughter and I, we were talking about it several days afterwards, actually. She was really impacted by it. She's studying to be a nurse, and it actually caused her to go and seek out a copy of Mary Shelley's original work and start reading it. So, and there's a whole lot of stuff in there as well. It's two different adaptions, really, the original and then his adaptation, and they touch on different things. But yeah, profoundly beautiful and well-made film.
Now, you're a big fan of the book as well. Did it do justice to the film? As you say, a film's different than a book, but did it hit the right notes?
I think it did. There are some fans of the book who are not happy because he went in a different direction. So, for example, in this one, Elizabeth is not his fiancée. She's fiancée and then married to his younger brother.
Yep.
And so that's a big change. They've introduced a abusive father-son relationship, which is not in the original, and quite a serious moment of trauma. To be fair, that's fairly consistent with the book, though. But there is a bit more trauma around the mother-son relationship and things like that. And what I like, though, is I think if you treat them as two separate, like this is his adaptation.
Yep.
And what I liked about the film adaptation was it actually, I think, highlights certain things in a different way because of the emphasis that he took. I thought it was, in its own right, it stood its own ground as something artistic and worthy of contemplation.
Be it the book or the film, perhaps we've put this into this horror movie, Friday night scary kind of vibe, but actually there's some deep intellectual and theological questions that both the book and the film adaptation deal with. Any in particular come to mind for you, Brendan?
Well, I think it's important too to understand that the sort of the history of how the book came to be and why this is important, because Mary Shelley, her father was quite politically connected. He was an author in his own right, and so there were well-known authors and elite people at the time would be in the family home, and she struck up a relationship. Unfortunately, it was an adulterous relationship with an older married man.
Yep.
And he was a famous author in his own right, and then they took off together, and then her stepsister who's with them is also connected to someone else who's quite famous in literature as well, and she loses a baby in the process, and there's all this backstory. But why it's kind of important is because these people are sort of the key, Percy Bysshe Shelley, for example, was who she's in a relationship with, and he's a key poet in his own right, and Lord Byron was the other one involved in all of this with the stepsister, and so these key people are sort of very influential at the time, and so basically this is the sort of crux point. I often talk to audiences about how ideologies and philosophies have really shaped the Western secular mind over the last couple of 100 years, and often in ways that are not good. And a question people often ask is, but how did these ideas really take hold? Because they're just ideas. People have had bad ideas before, but they haven't thrived and taken off like these ones have. And a big reason was because of people like this who were in the artistic set who began to take these ideas and put them into their literature and the art they were producing, and that amplified them and had a powerful sort of emotive currency in the culture, if you like. It really took hold. And then also the modern printing press allowed you to spread an idea very quickly far and wide. So this is why this is quite key. And what's amazing about this work is it came from a challenge. They all went on holiday together in Geneva, but it was supposed to be summer, but the weather turned to absolute rubbish. So they're stuck inside, and they challenged each other to write the best Gothic horror story, if you like. And Mary Shelley everyone agreed Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was the best.
And she was
But
just a young child. She was like a young
yeah,
teenager at the time, right?
Yes, I think she just turned 18 when it was finished, and so very young. I mean, she lost a baby at 16. Or yeah, it was slightly. I think no, actually, she must have been 17. Sorry, when she lost the child, it was born premature and died. And that pathos is very much in this story. And what's amazing is that it's not Frankenstein's not really. If you've read the book, you'll know it's not a sort of frightening Stephen King horror. That's not what this is. What's scary about it is the moral lessons that it has to offer us about trying to play God when we shouldn't. And it's an age-old temptation that goes right back to the garden, right back to the Tower of Babel. We will seize control and power for ourselves. And that's a big theme. That's what makes it so frightening.
And also allusions to like Prometheus' story. I mean, that's a key, obviously a key influence in this as well. But big issues to do with bioethics. Just because we have the technology to do something, does that mean that we should do it? I mean, this is an area, of course, that you're involved with LifeNet. Ask some important questions there.
Oh, look, it's really profound, and I can't stress how profound and important both versions are actually at really grappling with these issues of again, in fact, one of the titles she gave it was Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. That was what it originally was called.
Yep.
It really is drawing on that idea of seizing power that you should not have. And this is a very popular idea that's really starting to take hold at the time. We will be the new gods now. We will give ourselves to the faith and progress in science and technology. This will save us, not the kingdom of God. We won't look for and have hope and faith in God for our redemption. We will try and force our way back into the Garden of Eden with our technology and in our hope in the kingdom of man and science and everything else. And that's all embroiled in the story. And so basically the key thing is this moment of suffering in Dr. Frankenstein's life causes him to become obsessed with this idea of seizing control of life and death itself and creation. And of course, the end result is that he can't do this. He's imperfect. In fact, one of the things that really sticks out, I think, quite clearly in the film, it's also in the story, is that the creature he creates is really not so much a monster. He's monstrous to him, but he's a very sympathetic character.
Yeah.
He creates a creature. It's the complete opposite to God. God creates out of love, not avarice, not out of power, not obsession. And God creates community, Adam and Eve. Frankenstein doesn't do that. He creates one creature and then leaves that creature alone to a life of solitude, like Adam without Eve, for all of his life. And he can't die as well. That's the other thing about the creature. And so he's just stuck in, like, if you think about the Christian vision of reality, sin enters the world.
Yeah.
We fall from the garden, but then Christ comes and offers us redemption, and we go, we cling to Christ, and we find ourselves in an eternity of profound and oneness with perfect love, who is God. It's just profound what that means for us as Christians. The fullness of redemption, right, where we're fully known, all the sin and brokenness is gone, and that's Christian hope. Christian hope is not just we'll live forever in an endless number of days like we are now. That would be awful. You're repeating brokenness and sinfulness over and over again. But that's what he does. He's created a creature that is stuck in the human cycle without that way out, natural death that leads into the possibility of redemption in Christ with an eternity in heaven.
Is there for those people that aren't as familiar with the story, is there a redemption moment in this narrative, or is it more of a cautionary tale, Brendan?
I think it's a bit of both, and it's definitely what you call Gothic, in that this tends to have that darker emphasis. But I think there is some powerful moral lessons for sure. It is a cautionary tale, absolutely. And C.S. Lewis picks up actually in his writings on some of these themes, interestingly.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that in a second if you like. But basically, there is also, I see a sense of redemption in it. And you see redemption, interestingly, or particularly for Victor Frankenstein, and this is strong in the film. You've seen he's gone on an arc where he's realized his own sinfulness and he is truly sorry for what he's done. The problem he now faces is he can't fix it. But there's this sort of moment towards the end of the film adaptation where effectively it's like, ironically, the creature gives him the thing he can't find, which is another being that will connect with him and be friend with him as he dies.
Wow.
And the creature is sort of burdened with that, will never find that. So there is a type of redemption in there, but really it is more of a cautionary moral tale, that's for sure.
Well, hey, I haven't had the opportunity to see it yet, but although a big fan of the original work, recommend that people do check that out. Again, a little bit of a caution there, not for younger family members, but Guillermo del Toro will tell you half of that story, available on Netflix, and also, of course, in its original book form as well. Brendan, a different conversation to what we regularly have, but certainly appreciate your wisdom and insight as always. Thanks for joining us.
Andrew, great to be with you again.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.